So your journey sort of geographically, you certainly didn't just show up from Virginia here. You had quite a long trip throughout the world to get to where you are, both physically and, I suppose, up here.
Yeah, so I suppose my awakening happened in college when, because I grew up in the Midwest, and it's very sheltered, where a lot of corn and beef is produced, and grew up feeling or believing that, that the United States was like this big brother, country that was out to save the world.
Big brother in a friendly way.
Yeah. And so, just in college, taking a social issues problems class with a teacher who was homeless. She was homeless with 3 children, pushed through medical bills, and so she was very passionate, and that passion came through in her teachings. And so that's when I first was able to see that all of our world problems are interconnected, which is kind of cool to see, because then you can see how the solutions, are much easier to tackle than each isolated problem. It gets very, very complex. So complexity is bred out of simplicity, and that's just how nature works. But so then I ended up going to India and studying in an eco-village there, and was thinking that I was going to be studying eco-village design and permaculture, but then I got really, really sick. And not because of India, but because I had been on antibiotics for 12 years of my life, and just kind of trusting, the adults. I had some work to do, and it was a journey of inner reflection for the last about 10 years of healing myself, and all of that's really reflected into the work that I do now in bridging regenerative solutions for the earth, body, and communities, because they all really have reflective solutions.
So it's not just about environmentalism and ecology for you. You actually do quite a bit in, I suppose, the business sector, but the values-driven business sector.
Yeah. So as I was practicing cellular regeneration or detoxification, I was attracting a lot of people who had victim consciousness and couldn't pay for my services, and so that had me reflecting on my own poverty mindset and doing some work there. So I really delve deeper into the prosperity aspect, which is one of my greatest passions, because we're all born with the right to be prosperous. We today pay to live. You pay to be born, and you pay to die, and it's pretty profound. But you're a miracle being born. Just like the act of how you're even conceived is a miracle. And so, I shifted a bit from working with people in my private practice, and really it's something that I avoided for so long, was marketing myself and my business. But then once I really dug deep into it, I found that it's really just about speaking from the heart to the people that you really want to co-create with or create community with, and so that made it a lot easier.
And there's some open source business plans, there's some cryptocurrency, there's a lot of sort of, I wouldn't say necessarily modern ideas, but there's a lot of sort of both digital ideas and community, local ideas.
Totally, yeah. So I work now with many organizations globally, and I'm kind of a systems designer and able to see the big picture. So weaving a lot of these solution-based organizations, and one of them, called Living Earth Solutions, is a ministry which is beneficial because you don't have to pay taxes, so you don't have to participate in the system of war and petrol dollars. And so, we have I'm building out a prosperity portal, and it's really about giving people opportunities and incentivizing regenerative actions so that we can start to build our own prosperity portfolio, which just means that you are aligning with lands, communities, gatherings, products and services that are in total alignment with you.
One of the interesting things that I find here with, again, with this sort of part-time gig that I do with catering, when I finished the permaculture course last year, I was able to say to the students that we had 20 food providers from the immediate area. I did stretch to Burr to include Mossfield, but in the immediate area we had 20 people who were either growing food, processing food in some way, including all the vegetables, service providers, also including our local businesses like Centra and things like that, so the whole community, Ecovillage, and in the Cloughjordan wide area. And for me that was amazing to realize that even just that food ecosystem was so strong here, and we're just an emerging community. We certainly aren't in any way an old community, but we're mixing the new ideas and the energy that the Ecovillage is bringing and the assets that the Ecovillage is bringing with what Cloughjordan Wide and what North Tipperary is doing. And for me, that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, beautiful. So that's really exciting when you start to map out like your local communities. Then you can start to see and reassess really like what you hold as valuable. And I feel like that's really an opportunity we have today, is to redefine the whole ecoscape. So as far as like how we're doing business, like a lot of these old models are just breaking and falling down, and it's giving an opportunity to create the solutions and systems that you want to. Just like I don't know how many people are into crypto here, and I'm not going to get too into
one man raising his hand at least.
Okay. So yeah, one of my passion projects is called Seeds of Light, and so it's a gifting cryptocurrency backed by seeds. And so seeds is really the symbol of life, and it holds the genetic code for generations. And so if we can honor that and also incentivize regenerative action, so whatever sort of behaviors that we want to start incentivizing in our communities. So say like there's an opportunity to learn about beekeeping, bee stewarding, so we can offer soul, seeds of light. People can redeem their soul for different things that they want to dig into, like other opportunities, going to gatherings or events or other types of learning opportunities, or perhaps there's a couple organizations that are mapping out all the eco-villages and retreat centers, Montaya and Numundo. So there's a lot of these relationships we're weaving together to be able to diversify our assets. The more coins that we have, or tokens, to basically stand behind a value. And so I feel like that's where a lot of the crypto is kind of cryptic in a way, because it's just kind of sketchy. People don't know whether to trust it or not, but there's a big opportunity there where we no longer have to depend on a system that enslaves us, and we have the opportunity to express our sovereignty, no longer need representative governance, and so it's just really exciting times.
I think one of the things that when we were speaking earlier that really I thought had a big impact to me, you had said that our greatest asset is each other. Do you have any thoughts or maybe learnings from some of your other either eco-villages or intentional community experiences that we might carry on in our journey?
Yeah, so basically, kind of reflecting what I said earlier, when you start to really map out, because we all have these ideas and thoughts and connections in our brains, but mind mapping has been really amazing for me, because it's like getting all my ideas and connections on paper and able to see and build new connections. So I feel like that's our opportunity as we are shifting into these new times, and just everyone you come across on your path, like everyone's so amazing and has so much value. So if we can just being able to connect the dots a little bit, because it's about rooting down in like ourself and knowing thyself, and then you're able to build those bridges a little bit easier.
Chef Boyardee is my secret shame. Do you have a secret shame? There should be no shame.
It's good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, no shame, no guilt, just opportunities for growth and learning expansion.
Any questions? Anything anyone would like us to chat about? No.
Yeah.
Josie.
Hi, yeah. I'm very interested to hear you talk about cryptocurrency, because I remember reading an article a couple of times that actually cryptocurrency, to be mined, takes huge resources in terms of electric use. So how do you square that circle?
Very good question. Yeah, that's very true. I feel like there needs to be more transparency on that, but also there's the dinosaurs, which is like Bitcoin. They use this thing called proof of work. So it's like sending equations out through the network and confirming that it's true. And so there's new proof of stake is the newer one, and there's also better systems being developed other than blockchain, like EOS and Holochain. And Holochain is some of my friends, they're developing it. So like Bitcoin, for instance, it sends out that equation and then it comes back confirming that this transaction is legit, basically. And so that's what takes up a lot of the energy. And like the holochain, so that works more in line with nature. So you're not, the mycelium and the roots of the tree are not asking the sun for permission to exchange nutrients. It's just, it's decentralized. And we're trusting that the mycelium and the roots know what they're doing. So it's about kind of more decentralized, but there's definitely some issues, but it's very, very new technology, and just the fact that it opened the door for us to be able to create our own agreements with each other without having to ask for permission is a big opportunity.
Thank you.
More? Ollie?
Can I ask you about the origins of the universe?
Okay, well, what specifically? Because it's such an expansive topic.
The context is that Brittany's thesis was on the origins of the universe. And we were going to start the conversation with that, but then we thought, boom, it would be real big.
Go on all night.
Yeah, exactly. Can I quote you again?
Sure.
That's the moment when Brittany realized she didn't know anything.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so started her journey to discover whatever she could.
That's right. That's true. No, it was it was great. It was really fun to be able to teach myself quantum physics. I studied math in my undergraduate, but then, I only did that because I didn't really know what I was doing in college, and so, and I was good at math, so that's what I did, and then I had that awakening that I shared earlier, and felt more called to participate in more environmental projects, and so, yeah, we can talk more about quantum physics and origins of the universe if you'd like to.
Origins of the universe and cryptocurrency back at the bar later tonight.
Yeah.
I've got just one question about the soul. How does that work in terms of the old money was based on the gold standard, and then I know there's some systems of local currencies that often kind of run out of steam because the people often offer. A lot of people offering some kind of semi-skilled stuff, and then a few people offering quite skilled stuff that is in high demand. But I don't know. I'd like to find out more about.
Yeah, I am. It's still very much. I've been observing a lot of different tokens and coins, and I haven't really put together a white paper yet. But that's really the conversation around being able to reassess what we hold as valuable. It's because in Seoul, we're wanting to create relationships with seed savers, and so we're creating a global network, but it's really activated local. So it's really going to come down to the local community assessing, their food soil web and what what do you need and want, and how can you get that? Like, can we create these systems? And in the trade and barter, it doesn't necessarily work like globally, because not everybody is valuing that. But if we can set some sort of standard, and like just there's still some things to work out with it, like every seed, how can you give more value to one seed than the other, because you don't even know if it's viable yet. So there's some things that we can work out, but just creating those relationships with the seed savers and honoring the work that they're doing, because it is a lot of work, and a lot of these jobs that we have growing really yummy, sustainable food is a lot of work. And so in a lot of eco-villages, we just want to tap in with them and see, like, what do you need, so we can create ambassador apprenticeship sort of opportunities for people to plug in, because we are the currency. So we are creating the current of today. And I feel also with eco-villages, there's a little bit of a fear around commitment, both from the eco-village not wanting to let just anybody come in and use, and maybe trash the place, and then also from people who maybe don't live in an eco-village yet, but they'd like to. So just giving them, a pretty defined role, that they're going to embody for a little bit of time, and they'll learn a skill and then be able to give to the eco-village. So it's really about opening up the conversation around prosperity, and there's a lot of mindset work actually that goes into this, because a lot of us have been given a victim poverty mindset, and so that's kind of the entry point into this portal that we're creating, that you will be able to take. It's a play shop, so you get to have fun with playing with prosperity. And I don't know if I answered your question. I do that sometimes.
You said some interesting things there.
Sinead, do you want to ask a question? And just as I'm passing the microphone here, there's a few winners of prizes here, and Sinead's one of the prize winners from our Galway event, where she won the trip to come here. So, Sinead, you have a question?
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here. I kind of got lost a couple of times when you spoke about what was it? Victim poverty. What was the term you used?
Yeah, victim or poverty mindset.
Yeah, so could you mention a little bit more about what that is and where it comes from, or what people could do about it?
Yeah, totally. I mean, victim or poverty mindset is really about forgetting. It's about forgetting what's already within you, because we are already whole and complete. And I know a lot of people may not even believe that, and that's part of the forgetting. But let's say in health, if somebody were to come to me and they wouldn't, first of all, be able to pay for my services, that's not valuing yourself. Because if you value yourself, you're going to want to compensate, and maybe it will be in different ways. But just to be able to say that I really value what you do and what you have to offer, and so creating that sort of exchange. Also, the victim mindset can come into play when people keep on searching outside of themselves for different cures, and so we can just continuously trying to ask different experts and using different medications to try to fix you. So that's the difference. But when you step into prosperity, you can see, it's a lot of self-work worth and self-love work, just about finding value within yourself and yeah, just reassessing like what you have to offer, either yourself or your partner, the world, and yeah, it's also kind of, I see a parallel with today. I lived in a rebirthing center for a year, which is a breathwork practice that you basically tap into elemental purification practices, so using earth, air, water, fire to feed and nourish you, because that's really where we come from. And so yeah, it's just the finding the different things that feed and nourish you. I kind of got off track a little bit, but the rebirthing, yeah, the parallel was with life and death. So we live in a deathless culture primarily, that yeah, it doesn't necessarily honor life, and so it's really coming back to that. And if you want to play with prosperity, I'll have that launched pretty soon, and just I'm kind of building out the whole portal. But that's a play shop that's really intimate, and it kind of goes through the difference in between poverty and prosperity mindset, limitation and belief, because a lot of us, all of us, have these conditioned beliefs, and they're just really mindsets. And so when we can shift those, then yeah, there's just a lot of doors that start to open up. And so affirmations are one of the best tools to be able to shift these. So in that play shop, we also find your own affirmations, prosperity affirmations, and then go through like what you're passionate about. Because if your work isn't reflective in your passions, then it's kind of soul sucking, you know. And so we can really feed our life force and our vitality by aligning with our passions and find our purpose, work with the people that we really want to play with and co-create with, collaborate. And the thing about that is we can talk about what poverty and prosperity are all day, and you can say that you understand what it is, but the last step is the art of negotiation. So when we talk about money and when you're asking people for compensation, it could be as simple as asking somebody to pass the salt, but there's so much emotional heaviness with asking. But it's just simply something to observe within yourself, like what comes up for you when you're asking for compensation.